Hello and welcome to the show, Think Tactical TV.
At thinktacticaltv.com.
And we certainly appreciate you guys tuning in to the new YouTube channel and watching us. We also have a podcast that's on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, soon to be iHeartRadio, all those places. And it is called Think Tactical. So here at Think Tactical TV, you're talking to myself, Black Dragon, and
Myron Petro, Coach
Petro. And we're two men of a three-man team. The third man is not here with us on the first podcast, but you guys will get to know Stingray Bob Coleman. And we're all together to bring to you this idea of being prepared, situationally aware.
And in other words, things that could save your life and keep you from getting harmed when you're not intended to.
So yeah, anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
That's what Murphy said.
That's what Murphy said. And I saw that throughout my entire military career. And so we want you to be thinking tactical. We want you to think tactical, be tactical, move tactical, and keep yourself and your family safe in this ever-changing environment in this world where things are going crazy. We got terrorists, we got folks coming up from the border, they say.
Yes.
And we got
even the drunk on the road.
And we got the drunk on the road. So we got it all going on, and we want to be prepared. For me, the thing that started me wanting to move to a channel like this, I have a big channel on YouTube. Actually, it's the largest motorcycle club protocol channel on YouTube called Black Dragon Biker TV. And I'm looking at something on TV as I was doing my research for another story, and I run into this story about Jamie Kloss. Young Jamie Kloss, if you guys will remember, was kidnapped by some psycho who saw her on a bus stop. He decides that he sees her on the bus stop, and he's driving by, and he says, "That's the one." And so he begins to stalk her off the bus stop, and he's following her to her home. He stalks the parents. He's laid out the house. He goes and he buys a shotgun. He gets his self prepared, and he goes 3 times to this little girl's residence to get her. The first time, there were too many cars in the driveway. The second time, there were too many men there. Finally, the third time, this is the time. And so he shaves himself. You get to watch all this television, so you know how not to get caught. He shaves himself. So he doesn't leave any hair or anything at the scene. He washes himself. He gets the gloves. He does everything he needs to do. And he pulls into this girl's driveway. He's driving down the road. He cuts off his engine and coasts into her driveway. She's looking out of the window. She sees him. So she says to her dad, "There's a strange weirdo out in the driveway. There's a car out there." And the dad goes to the door. And she sees the man get out of the car with the gun, and she screams, "Daddy's got a gun." And Dad goes to the window, to the front door to look out the window, and he screams at the father, "Get down!" And the father doesn't get down, and one shot to the head takes the father's whole head off. Mom and daughter have run into the bathroom to barricade themselves. He says, this criminal says that it took him 10 or 15 times to use his shoulder to basically batten down the door. Break it open or whatever he had to do. He walks into the bathroom. The mother and her daughter are hiding in the shower. One shotgun blast to the head of the mother, and she's gone. And so this daughter gets to watch her mom and dad killed. And then this predator takes her away to his home, where he hides her under his bed for 4 months. And he keeps her there, and he hides her under the bed, and he even hides her from his family. His dad comes to see him about once a week. And whenever anybody came over, he would turn the music up loud in his room, extra loud so no one could hear her. And this goes on for 4 months. And then from somewhere, this child gets the courage, "I'm breaking out." And so she breaks out of that house some kind of way, runs down the street, and is able to run into a woman walking her dogs. And she's able to save her own life. And that's not always the story. And when I heard the name Jamie Kloss, it really kind of threw me because I had been living in the area where Polly Kloss was taken from. And I remember that being very young. I remember that story. And Jamie Kloss, Polly Kloss, although their names are spelled differently, they had the same end. Oh, no, not actually the same end. Jamie Kloss saved her life.
Yeah.
But it got me to thinking of all the mistakes. And anyone can do this hindsight, Myron. Anyone can sit over here and Sunday morning armchair quarterback. Anyone can do that.
And that's what we want. We want to make people aware so they don't have to armchair quarterback.
Right.
Things to do in first.
Right.
The father obviously made some mistakes, and so did the mother and daughter. Hiding didn't do them any good.
Right.
You know.
Right. Perhaps maybe the better thing might have been to make a beeline out of the back door and get the hell out of there. Hiding did them no good, and it's not gonna do you any good. And I don't want to seem like I'm armchair quarterbacking the horrible thing that this family went through.
No, but it could be used as an example of what not to do and what's not going to work.
And so I want this whole channel to be about our dedication and our commitment to you and your families to help you make your position hardened, to help you make your family capable of surviving the chaos that's out there. And the would-be, what's that movie where those people go and do they get to kill somebody once a year? Or what's that movie called? I don't know who the stars were, but you know that movie, once a year you get to go
I'll tell you something about that. Yeah,
it's a crazy movie.
It's crazy. It is a crazy movie.
But that's what people are doing. They're wilding out.
Well, and just an example too of Jamie Kloss. The guy a couple times was going to go there, but because of other people around and other things going on, he changed his mind. And that's part of, what we want to make people aware of. You can refuse to be a victim by just being aware.
And hardening your situation. And I take this back to my Navy days when I was staying in Groshong Hall, which I was there in the 80s. And Groshong Hall had been built in the 50s. Submarine base in New London, Connecticut. And we were staying like, oh my God, you have a floor with 100 and some men on the floor. And so we were sleeping in bunk beds, and you would have like 4 bunk beds in a room. It was terrible. And we had roaches this size running through the barracks. So you would open up your locker, and all these roaches were in it. And so I was really upset about this. And I called my mom. I was like, how the hell do I deal with living with these roaches? And Mom says, so that was wonderful. We're not going to edit that out. We're keeping that. But so Mom says, well, son, you can make your locker area inhospitable to the roaches so that everyone else will deal with roaches, but roaches won't come into your thing. And so I heard that. And so what I did was, we got this tape, regular old...
duct tape?
Not duct tape. Yeah, what is the white tape? Is that duct tape?
Well, duct tape is...
Masking tape.
Yeah, masking tape.
Yeah, so I got the masking tape. I turned it inside out, and I put masking tape up inside my closet. So they would crawl across the masking tape and get stuck. And so that was like roach strip. And then I would get the boric acid and long story short, everybody had roaches but me. So when you're in an environment with roaches, you can still be a place the roaches won't mess with because you're harder to get.
That's a good example.
Think so?
Yeah.
All right. So that's what I want the show to be about. I want to know how we get rid of the roaches.
How to keep the roaches from getting to us.
From getting to you, even though the neighborhood is saturated with them. So that's what we want to do. In our first podcast was on... We've done 2 podcasts at this point. So if you're seeing this a year from now, we've done a whole lot more podcasts. But if you're just now seeing this, we've done 2 podcasts. And our second podcast was about the Jeff Cooper awareness color code chart. And that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Right. It's the Jeff Cooper color code chart. It's taught to law enforcement, federal agents, military. in its simplicity, and remember the KISS principle, it's a simple 4-step color code.
And what is the KISS principle?
The KISS principle is keep it simple, stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And we go with there's white, yellow, orange, and red. White is that is the lowest level. You are switched off. You should only be in condition white when you're sleeping.
So we're talking about a mental chart here, a mental color code chart. And this color code chart will translate to how you're supposed to be moving, acting, and thinking at any particular time. So the number one level at this color code chart, made by Colonel Jeff Cooper, and it's been used all over the world. And the reason we're teaching you this chart, we want you to use this with your families. We want you to teach your kids a system, teach yourself a system by which to be thinking. Perhaps you use this color code as a way, like you're walking across a parking lot and you say one of these code words and everybody knows what to do. For instance, if the Claus family had a color code chart and the father had screamed a certain color code out, perhaps everybody would have known to go to the safe room. And
an example, John and I are walking through a parking lot and I see something. And I can say to John, I could just say orange, 1 o'clock. John knows to look at 1 o'clock that there's a potential threat to bring us from our normal level of yellow up into the orange ray. Now, if that's just 2 words I have to say to him, and he understands it, I don't have to point, I don't have to do anything else, and he understands what I'm talking about, and his attention goes towards that.
And we begin moving in concert to do what we need to do to survive a potential situation. So we're breaking down this mental awareness color code chart that we're going to employ between us and our family members, so that now we have a communication way that puts us one up on the system, one up on the situation, because we're all thinking the same. So Cooper said the lowest level was white. And yes. White means what?
White means you're totally unaware, you are turned off. You're not listening to, paying attention to what's going on around you. The woman walking through the parking lot with a bunch of packages staring at her smartphone is in condition white. She doesn't know what's going on around her. She is now a potential victim because the criminal element sees her being unaware. And she's got her guard down. She's not ready to go into condition orange or red. She's not even in condition yellow. And that's where a lot of these criminals are people of opportunity. Just like Jamie Claus, the criminal, Guy Trout wanted to take her 2 times, but other things around that were going on around the house prevented him. And that's where part of the refuse to be a victim mentality is.
And I saw Colonel Cooper's, Jeff Cooper's video on this. And one of the things he said is, a lot of times our lives are saved for not something that we did. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Because we're walking around in condition white. You're staring at your cell phone. You're talking on the phone. You're arguing and yelling with your wife as you're walking to your car. And you can't even notice. You're so into that. You can't even notice the 2 guys that are stalking you across the parking lot. And he said, some of the reasons, so he says, white is like being asleep. And you're switched off, unaware of what is going on around you. You're really not ready for anything. Reasons affecting why you may be in the white condition include you might be too sleepy, too fatigued, too stressed out, impaired on drugs or alcohol. So you've got all these reasons why you might not have your shit together, right. If you can pardon my language.
Well, and it's also one of the reasons we have a lot of car accidents. People have their phone. They're more intent on their phone than what's going on around them.
Right. So in this condition, somebody could attack you. And Jeff Cooper said, there was a guy that they were having some sort of a party or something, and this guy walks out to the back to drink some beer or smoke a cigarette, whatever the case may be. And a guy walks up on him and points a gun at him, and he says, "Hey, how you doing?" And the guy squeezes the trigger. And he says to the guy, "Would you like some beer?" And the guy squeezes the trigger again and tries to cock the gun, and it won't work, and the guy walks off mad. But this is where he was in a white condition and his life was saved, but not because of anything he did.
He did, no.
So we want to be able to have our life saved, not by chance or by God, but by our conditioning and our being ready. So that's why you don't want to be in white. You would rather be in
yellow.
So yellow is the next.
Yellow is the next level. You're paying attention to your surroundings. You're in condition yellow if you're sitting in your living room watching TV. You hear something outside. You hear a noise outside. Now you're alert. You're paying attention to it. If you were in condition white, you wouldn't care what was going on outside. It could be somebody breaking into your car. It could be somebody trying to kick your door in. Condition white, you wouldn't care. Condition yellow, you start to respond.
You're aware.
You're aware. Is it just the neighbors, dog barking? Mm-hmm. Is it somebody in your driveway?
So you're now making yourself mentally aware of your surroundings in condition yellow. And one of the things that Jeff Cooper had said was, this is not a state of paranoia. This is not a state of, oh my God. This is more of a state of, he called it calm and relaxed. A calm, relaxed state. You're alert to the surroundings and the environment and to the people who occupy it and to their body language. You're alert, not paranoid. In this state, it is difficult for someone to surprise you. You're not really at the point where you're going to be surprised. You are looking, you're aware.
Right.
So maybe you're aware of who might be following you while you're driving, or you're aware of who might be looking at you, or you're aware of maybe two people arguing in the parking lot or something like that. You become aware.
Right, because two people arguing can escalate into violence between those two people, which you might get caught up in.
I think about this condition of awareness as I remember many things about my Navy days, and being aware of your situation can save your life. It's the difference in being taken by surprise or being able to prepare. And when I two things in my life that really for me equate to the yellow condition is, one is I'm a biker, and two, I was in the military. And in the military, I was a submarine sailor. And as a submarine sailor, the mission of a submarine is to be invisible until such time as we put it on you. When we drop those tactical nukes on you and then float away invisible. So if you're invisible, however, and you think of being invisible is so very cool, but all the things you could do if you're invisible, like go to your favorite movie star's house and now you can get in and get your autograph, and no one knows, or something like that. Being invisible is cool, except for this fact. If you're invisible, nobody can see you. And if no one can see you...
when they don't see you, that's when they cut in your lane, cut you off.
Or walk all over the top of you. Like if you were invisible and I wanted to walk through that door, I'd walk straight over the top of you. So on a submarine, here's your submarine, or here's the submarine, and the ocean top is like this, and you got all these ships up here. So you got a ship doing this. You don't just pop up in his way. You have to be aware of every ship that's out there and what it's doing. Is it going left? Is it going right? Is it going fast or whatever? Before you can pop up, you have an added responsibility of being aware of your entire situation. So I think of condition yellow as if I were on a submarine and I was invisible. That I now have the extra job to be aware of everything that's around me so that nothing hits me unaware. The other thing is, as a biker, this is another part of condition yellow, is planning ahead. When you're on a motorcycle, you're always planning 2 or 3 steps mentally ahead. That's the only way you can survive. What if I'm going through this light and that person that I think sees me really didn't, and they cut in front of me and T-bone, they stick me in a T-bone situation? Where am I going to go? Where's my motorcycle going to be? What am I going to do? And if you're thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead and you're planning ahead on a motorcycle, that's how you stay alive. That's how I've been able to do that for 30 plus years.
Because you're not going to win any collision with anything.
You're not going to win any collision. And you're not going to win any collision out there in the world where someone's trying to hurt you.
Right.
Or take advantage of you. So that's why I think condition yellow is important. When I'm on my motorcycle, I'm calm and relaxed. But I'm looking. And nothing's taking me by surprise because I'm ready for everything. That's what, to me, condition yellow is.
And that's what it is. It's not, again, in a crowd, if you're in condition yellow, the criminal's looking for somebody, he's going to pick somebody in condition white.
Yes. He wants to roach He wants that locker that's not prepared.
That's right. He wants that rocker that's not prepared.
Right. So what's next then?
The next
After yellow is what?
After yellow is orange, where you raise your level of awareness. You sense something is not right. And, in condition orange, you've got it. It's not an everyday thing. It's now all of a sudden there's a reason for you to be paying more attention. Going back, I like to use the highway analogy. You've got a guy on a motorcycle cutting in and out of traffic. Okay, he can easily cause an accident, cause somebody to swerve into your lane, and you've got to be aware of that he's now a potential threat. He could be on a motorcycle, it could be a drunk, not staying in his lane. Then you don't know what he's going to do. So now your awareness is up. You're walking through a parking lot. You see somebody that's starting to look at everybody around, just standing there gazing at them, checking them out, seeing who's available. It could be nothing, but it could also be something that where he's looking for his next victim.
And now you've taken note of that, and you're starting to prepare yourself in case you want to have to deal with that. Someone driving up on you slowly, someone driving through the neighborhood slowly, somebody that's erratically changing lanes if you're driving a car.
Right.
It's a heightened level of awareness. You sense that something is not right. And, we got to go to those senses. Something always told me. I always listen to my somethings.
Yeah.
When something says, John, that ain't right.
Something ain't right. It usually it's a time to look at it.
And having been shot 4 times, I can tell you that the somethings, every time I almost got shot, every time I got shot, it's because I didn't listen to my somethings. So now I'm just like a something-holic. If I hear a something, I wouldn't do that if I were you. We're out of there. So when you get the sense that something is not right, this is the time to evaluate and formulate a plan. This guy's moving erratically up there. Okay, I'm focused. I see him.
Now you're starting to focus.
I'm starting to plan.
A perceived threat.
And you want to work towards evasion and diffusion. They say that's what works best here before you go to the next level.
Right.
So if you can plan ahead. So, for instance, a guy is following you. You're driving down the road. And I always use this when I'm talking to women's safety groups. If a person follows you after you've driven a circle, then you know you're being followed. And a square is a secretive circle. So 4 right turns. You don't make them right together. You're driving, make a right turn. You drive a little bit further, a mile or 2, you make a right turn. You drive a block, make a right turn. Drive another mile, make a right turn. You've made a circle. And if you make a circle and someone's still behind you, now you're in orange. Now I need to plan. And they say evasion and diffusion is best. So now I know I don't need to drive home. I'm being followed.
You don't want to drive home. That's the last thing you want to do.
Evasion could be to get on the highway and get the hell out of there. Or diffusion could be to drive to a police station.
Right.
And get out and walk into the police station. And you've probably diffused your situation. So in orange, we're beginning to formulate a plan for what could be a perceived threat.
Right. And you want to have a couple of them. You don't want one single thing in your plan because it could get messed up. So you want to have a couple of different ideas. Evading, getting out of Dodge is a good one. Like I said, taking it to a level, going to a police station. If you can't find a police station, figure out somewhere else where there's some security. Or, a fire station is also a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And
or calling 911 and saying I'm being followed.
Yes.
And this is where I'm at.
Well, in the age of cell phones now, we can do that. Years ago, they didn't have that option.
Yeah.
When Jeff Cooper came up with his color code, he didn't have the cell phone option.
Exactly. And so then what do? Once we perceive the threat and the threat begins to materialize, what's next?
Well, that is when we go to condition red.
Condition red.
And that's when your awareness is focused on that threat.
Because the fight is on.
Yes, exactly.
The threat we thought was real is real. That guy following me through the parking lot that I thought maybe might rob me is now moving to rob me. I just saw the gun come out. And the fight is on, which means that decisive and immediate action must be taken.
Exactly.
Recognizing attack rituals and setups, helps one to avoid this level. So if you're good at recognizing what could happen and diffusing or evading, but if that didn't happen, now we're there. And Jeff Cooper doesn't mean that you're going to kill the guy, but it means that you're going to. It doesn't mean confrontation is inevitable, but it does mean that you're moving to stop that confrontation. For example, the guy is pulling his gun out, but because you were ready, your gun is out first. So the key here is that you set your plan into motion. It doesn't mean you're gonna take the guy out at this point. It means that and the key is there's a trigger point in your mind, and if that threshold is crossed, then you make the next move. So, for instance, this guy is pointing the gun this way, and you say freeze. If he starts swinging the gun in your direction, that's the trigger.
Right.
I've made up my mind. I have a plan, and the plan is this guy passes what my trigger set is. And a lot of people, especially women who carry guns, most women who carry guns that are involved in a fight or something that costs you your life, that happens because you haven't made up in your mind a trigger point. They get the guns taken from them and used on them.
Yeah.
The trigger point means that you've already made up in your mind, yes, I can kill someone. Yes, I can. And if they do this, yes, I will. And we don't shoot to kill. We shoot to stop.
We shoot to stop.
But it is a good possibility if you shoot someone.
And the ideal thing is not to get into a shooting situation. Whether it be if you're in a parking lot and that person's following you, keep cars in between you and them.
Mm-hmm.
If you can, go back to the store you were at. Or go back to the building you were at. That's one of the better things to do. Because by the time you go to your car, that person could close the gap on you and get to you before you can get in.
If you recognize them in the parking lot, turn around and go back to where you came from.
Right.
Easy enough.
It's a simple way, and now you're going back in, and now you're starting to use your cell phone. Have the people that in the building. More than likely, that will break off the attack. That's again refusing to be a victim.
Right. So the fight is on.
The red situation is you're focused completely on them, on your target, on your perceived threat. And you might be wrong. It might be something innocent, but
you're
better
right.
to be prepared and it be innocent than to make the mistake and lose your freedom or your life.
Amen. So the fight is on. You're taking the decisive and immediate action, recognizing the attack, and you're setting a trigger point in your mind. And that trigger point is what a person has to do to get you to engage, or run, or scream, or blow a whistle, or use pepper spray, or whatever it is, or turn and go in another lane. When I used to teach traffic school, one of the things I used to teach people is head-on collisions by drunks comes from you not being aware and not breaking your paradigm. And you got to think about this. You got a car coming head-on, and now all of a sudden he's coming at you, and most people will keep driving this way until he kills you. And very few people think to actually turn and go into oncoming traffic to get past this guy who's obviously coming on you. That's a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
You keep going to the right until you can't go to the right anymore. So
Then what
many
do you
people
do?
will just let that be the death of them. And thinking in other ways, thinking out of the box, thinking past the paradigm shift, maybe I just need to go towards oncoming traffic long enough to get past this guy who's obviously committed to going right and killing everybody on the road.
And even sideswiping a car next to you is a lot safer than going through the head-on collision.
And that's another one we would teach is you're going down a hill and all of a sudden your brakes give out. Most people just roll down the hill till they kill themselves instead of thinking about taking out all the cars to your right that are parked and slamming into them until you can get your car stopped. So paradigm shifting comes from being able to be in the orange, be in the red, be in the yellow, but never be in
the white.
The white.
And that's why the conditional color codes are to keep you aware. If you're in the white, then
if you're in the white,
good luck to you.
You're a zombie. You feel no pain, and it doesn't matter.
The goblins are gonna get you.
So we hope you like our first video. We're having a lot of fun doing it. It's really interesting and amazing. And we're going to be talking about so many.
We've got some good stuff planned up. We have a bug out bag show where we're going to bring our bug out bags in and lay them out on the table and compare what we all have in our bug out.
Yeah,
bags.
we each of us has bug outs. Myron, Bob, and myself. And I've never seen his bug out bag, and he's never seen mine, and we've never seen Bob. So we're going to bring our bug out bags in, lay them down, compare them, and there's going to be some interesting similarities and some interesting differences. Because I'm a single man, and I'm only bugging out for me and my dog, and maybe my girlfriend.
And well, I'm also too. I have two. There's a two bug out bag situation. There's what you have in your vehicle all the time,
Right.
which is probably your main one, and then what you need to do to bug out from home.
Right. And I have situational bug out bags. I have several bug out bags, and they're made for, okay, I get to bug out and leave in the car. Okay, the car's out of gas, and the roads have been blocked, so now I've got to transition to
Hoof it.
the bicycle maybe. Okay, the bicycle's down, now I got to hoof.
Yeah.
Okay, now I gotta. There's a winter hoofing. There's summer hoofing. So there's some interesting things. Does my dog need a bug out bag? So there's some interesting things that we're going to be discussing, and I think,
And hopefully we're going to get some ideas from each other.
yeah,
And hopefully we'll be able to give you some ideas like, hey, gee, that's a good idea. Maybe I should have that in my bag.
and then and then we'll come back after we have done our first bug out show, and then we'll come out and we'll show you guys the differences we made after examining each other's bug out bags. So
Right.
that's what you can look for. We thank you so much for tuning in to Think Tactical TV. And we remember we're at Think Tactical TV.
TV.com.
And our podcast is Think Tactical, and our website. Oh, we already just said what our website is. And the ThinkTacticalTV.com is actually a Think Tactical. Our website, ThinkTacticalTV.com, is actually our news, our prepper news site. So you're going to get all kinds of situational news, what's going on in the world as far as news is concerned. That's why we want you to go to that site. We've got all the articles there. We're working on it.
Trying to give you a
24/7.
sit rep of what's going on and what's going on around you.
So kind of like maybe the Drudge Report of prepperism, in that you'll be able to go there for links to everything that's going on in this world and what kind of equipment to buy and things like that. You'll understand exactly what we're doing over at ThinkTacticalTV.com. All right.
Okay.
So thanks a lot for joining.
Thanks a lot for paying attention and joining in. And we want your comments.
Yeah.
What you think?
In the comments below, let us know what you think about this video. And as always,
Don't get too crude.
yeah, right. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and think tactical.